Hi everyone, Stjepan here. I'm back from Germany from the tournament. I don't know where you guys are and what the situation is where you are at, but in Germany and in Croatia it's quite complicated. So I basically escaped home from the tournament before it finished. Uh, After round 8, I came back to my room and because I didn't take my phone to the games, I didn't turn it on while walking or anything. So I came into my room, looked at my phone, and got an email that my bus was cancelled, my bus home, which I was supposed to take tomorrow, the day after round 8. So after round 9 finishes, then I realized the situation is getting pretty tough. So I didn't panic, but I realized that I needed to do something to get home. And long story short, I managed to book a bus from Bad Woerishofen, the town where the tournament was held, to München, the only bus that day. And it was 40 minutes before the bus that I realized that I have to go now. So I ran to the bus, managed to take it, and then had a surreal 2-day trip home. Ended up waiting on the Croatian border for almost 20 hours. Now I'm in isolation, in quarantine. I'm not allowed to exit my home, and it's very weird. Lucia is not here. She went to her grandmother's, and my family and Lucia have bought some food and stuff for me to have here for the 2 weeks. Now I'm not allowed to go out anyway. It kind of ruined the tournament for me. Firstly, because my sister and my mom and Lucia have all been worried that I could see that while I was playing, so I couldn't concentrate 100%. But and I didn't play the last round, so it was kind of just, I didn't really care about chess when the bus was cancelled. I just wanted to get home. But anyway, I covered the first 2 games from Bad Woerishofen. I'm going to go through game 3 now, and I'll cover all the games. And since the candidates are starting, I'm very happy. I'll have something to do. I'm going to be streaming every day, maybe with a few exceptions on break days or something. But I'll be streaming in the evenings when the rounds are over. So I'll be going through the games from the candidates and, well, a lot of interesting things, I hope. And I'll be watching the games live throughout the day, and then I'll try to make a list of things I learned and then share it with you on the stream. So every day around 6 or 7 p.m. Croatian, I guess, when the all 4 games are finished. So you can find the link to my Twitch in the description below. Okay, let's go through this game. So in round 1 I lost to a FIDE master. In round 2 I defeated a 1940 player. You can see those 2 games on the channel. In round 3 I was black against a 2155, a young guy. I think he's 31, 32, 33, and a very nice guy. One of the few people I met there. We met after the game. So I saw that he plays Reti, King's Indian attack, English type systems with either a kingside fianchetto or both bishops fianchettoed. So I knew that it was going to be kind of tough to enter my Semislav setup, which I often play against this. So after knight f3, played d5, he played g3. I went for the Queen's Indian defense, and that's a setup that white can hardly avoid if black knows what he is doing. So unless white plays the Benoni in reverse very early on or something like that. But yeah, basically I can play my Queen's Indian against anything. So bishop g2, e6, seems kind of passive, but it's fine. Bishop e7, bishop to b2, b6, and now I want to go bishop b7, c5, and complete my Queen's Indian broad center. Here we bought castle. This is still theory. I mean, it's very theoretical still. I think there are more than 1,000 games from this position. I can go c5 or knight bd7. I went knight bd7. Here he played queen e2. And this position I knew. I had it on the board 2 months ago when I was preparing the Queen's Indian for Zagreb Open. And here the most common move is c5. I went badly wrong with rook c8, but okay, so there's a problem in this position. The problem is that white can get his rook to the d file, looking at my queen, and my queen doesn't have a good square to develop to. Often I can go c5, queen c7, but then knight c3, rook a to c1. And again, my queen is kind of weirdly placed. And that's the advantage white has. White has a better placed queen, and one could argue that that's because my bishop is in the way on e7. Now, on the other hand, I don't have light squared weaknesses, or in my case, dark squared weaknesses, which I would have had if I had played g6, bishop g7. So my structure is better, but my queen doesn't have a square. So here I played the move rook c8, and I was trying to remember the game Qe2 from Zurich 1953, where Kotov had this position with black and lost horribly. And I remember something about rook c8. When I was looking at the game, I thought rook c8 should have been played here, so I played it. And I knew that c5 was the main move, but I didn't think this would make too much of a difference. So rook d1. c5, knight c3, all normal, and now, since I played rook c8, and I've kind of wasted the move, I need to react quickly. If I wait, white is going to break open my center and play either d4, knight e5, and have a big center, leaving me with hanging pawns or with an isolated queen's pawn. If you want to know more about this position, you can watch the game I played against Željko Matic in the Zagreb Open. I drew the game with black. He was, I think, rated 2150 or something like that. So here, the only active move I have was knight e4, and this required a ton of calculation, and it took me a long time to calculate everything. Now, the seemingly critical line isn't really critical. If he takes and I take, I should just be better here. He has to go back with the knight, and after f5, or even knight f6, my position is very pleasant. I have a ready-made attack, and I can either go bishop f6, knight e5, or I can go knight f6, or I can go g4, g5, h5, and attack. So this is not good. His bishop is basically a dead piece now. So after knight e4, I didn't expect him to take. I don't think he should have taken. The critical move is weakening my center, weakening the d5 pawn with c takes d. And now, again, I'm not going to be using the engine for this analysis, but I think I calculated everything correctly, and I could see that he was really upset after this variation, and he didn't see that I could do that. So the critical variation in my mind was not taking the pawn, but taking the knight. And of course, not bishop takes, because that gives me a very good center, and I should be more than fine here. Black is probably slightly better here. But d takes c3. And now it seems like I have to take with the pawn, otherwise I lose a piece, because my queen is lined up with the rook. But there's a way out, whatever he does. And before playing knight e4, I had calculated bishop takes d5. And that was a critical move to calculate. Because if bishop d5 works, the position is completely equal. And I don't have an advantage, but I managed to equalize, which I think is good with black against a high-rated opponent. And who knows what's going to happen. So I took another 15 or 20 minutes. I just wanted to make sure that everything works, and I went really in depth. So here are his threats. So if I go bishop d5, he can go c4, e4, or knight e5. Let's look at knight e5 first. This I thought was the best move, but I can take. And after c4, I can go bishop f3. And if he takes my queen, I take his queen. If he takes my bishop, I take his bishop with check. Queen takes f3, now queen c7 should be just dead equal. This is a symmetrical pawn structure. The only difference is that he has a pawn on g3 and I don't. Should be dead equal. If he goes e4, which seems scary, I can go bishop c6, and after knight e5, I can go queen c7. And now once he takes and plays c4, I agree that white is slightly better. Probably with something like f4. If I go bishop f6, he goes e5. But I should be okay. I didn't think this was lost for black or anything. I thought that this was pretty much equal. So I probably wouldn't play bishop f6, giving him a tempo. And if he wants to play aggressively, he's going to have to weaken himself with the move f4. Not that it matters much here, but maybe it could matter later on. Maybe I could even play e5 here, just trying to take a stand in the center as early on as possible. So if he takes, he's blocking in his bishop. If he advances, maybe I can block the position with f6 and then, yeah, no, my bishop is horrible. But anyway, I didn't see any immediate consequences. And the most obvious move, c4, which seemingly wins a piece, I can answer it with bishop f3. And after queen f3, which he played, I can go queen c7. So basically, there's no advantage for him in this position. This position is, in my opinion, just as equal as a chess position can be. One open file, symmetrical pawn structure. I mean, bishop versus knight, but I don't even know which piece is better. It's funny that his g2 bishop is staring at a completely empty diagonal. If he tries to transfer to f1 or h3, then still no real targets. And here he thought for, I think, 15 minutes before c4, and then he thought for another 15 minutes here. And I walked around, went outside. When I got back to the board, he still hadn't played his move. I sat down and he plays rook takes d7. And I was completely shocked. I have to take it, of course. So queen takes d7. And rook d1, okay. All normal. And now I can go queen e8 or queen c7. I didn't really like queen e8 because it blocks in my rook. I cannot play rook f to d8 and give my king a square on f8. And of course, the idea behind the sacrifice is this bishop is very strong. So I went queen c7. He went queen g4, which is now threatening mate. And I got really upset because I was sure I missed something. When he played queen g4, I started thinking that I've messed up. And because he's so much high rated, I didn't think that it could be this simple. So obviously, if I play e5, which I would like to play, he plays rook d7, and he wins a piece. Same goes for f6. He takes on e6, king h8, and rook d7. If instead of king h8 I go rook f7, then still just rook to d7, and I should be dead lost, basically. And in this position, the only move I can play is the most obvious move. So here I just play g6. And I didn't see what he had in the position. Obviously I have dark squared weaknesses, but if I can go rook d8, exchange the rooks, play queen d8 and bishop f6, then I should be fine. He played h4. I went rook f to d8, giving myself a square here and also exchanging rooks. h5, a rook takes, queen takes, and here I think I made my first mistake of the game. So yeah, I played queen d8, which is a horrible move and doesn't make any sense at all because he has queen f3. If he didn't have queen f3, then bishop f6, of course, would exchange the bishops and the game would be just easily winning. Not that it's not winning now, it's winning, but it's not easy. So queen f3, and now I just didn't know what to do. Okay, I'm going to show you what I should have played. I should have played queen d6, and after queen f3, just rook to d8. And after, let's say, king h2, trying to avoid an exchange of queens, he can just go queen d1, and he doesn't have time to get to the dark squares. I'm going to take on h5 with check, and his position is lost. But queen d8, queen f3, and I played f5, which I don't know how bad it is, but it's definitely visually bad. At least it stops all the tricks and gives me the option of bishop f6. And I had a plan. I knew that he was going to play h6, and I was going to go king f7, because in this position, if I go bishop f6, takes, this is highly unpleasant. I don't want to allow queen b7. So I need to keep something guarding the 7th rank. So here after h6 I went king f7, he went g4 and bishop f6. In this position he exchanged. Now queen b7 doesn't work because rook c7, so takes. e4. Here he offered the draw. I declined, and I had about 8 minutes on the clock. So I knew that I was winning. Again, I didn't know how I should win. I wanted to double up things on the d file, and if I'd been able to play rook d8 earlier after queen d6, then yeah, it's just stupid. Queen d8 was a stupid move. Here I played queen d7, trying to support f5 and preparing rook d8. I think in hindsight queen d2 was much better, so that I have queen takes h6, and I also have queen e1, and I also have queen c1, and I can do the same thing. I can double up things here, and if he exchanges everything and goes queen g3, then I would have the additional option of queen g5 and stuff like that. And also I could just go queen c1 here and take the pawn with check. But I went queen d7, ef, gf, queen to g3, and here with about I think 5, 6 or 7 minutes on the clock, I don't remember exactly anymore. I just didn't know what to do. I knew that my only move was queen d1 check. After that I had no idea what I should be doing. I panicked and played queen d1. The problem is after queen d1, of course he doesn't go bishop f1, then he is just losing after queen g4. So he has to go king h2. The problem is that now he's threatening a check here and a check here if I move my queen. So I check again, he went back. I check again and I offer a draw. No, sorry, he went back, I check again and I offer a draw because I didn't know what to do. What do I do in this position to stop both of his threats? I just couldn't see what to do. And of course I couldn't calm down and calculate. I was just too worried. And I offered the draw after queen h5. He accepted, which in the end was a huge relief for me. What I think he should have played, practically at least, and of course I still believe his position is completely losing, but he had a lot of time on the clock and I had several minutes on the clock, and I was nervous and he conceded. The move is just bishop h3. And again, two threats, queen d6 and queen g7. Maybe I can just take here, but I don't know. This seems very scary. Somehow this seems like there should be a way to win my rook. The problem is that I'm constantly hanging this rook in all the variations which I can see. So yeah, after the game I didn't try to figure out if I can take on h6 or not. I still don't know. I think the critical move is still queen d6 check, and I have to stay on the dark square somehow. For example, if I go here, then maybe I'm fine. I don't know. No, yeah, now I do lose my king. No, now I do lose my rook. So I have to be very careful. And I wouldn't be confident taking this pawn unless I had half an hour on the clock to look at everything. So basically, I think we were both happy after the game. He told me after the game that he wanted to resign after g6. He'd completely missed the move g6. And I played like an idiot after that. I complicated matters way too much. After queen d1, just queen d6 is, and it's a simply winning position. Queen f3, rook d8, and there's nothing he can do. There's just nothing. He cannot avoid a queen trade long term. And his attack with h5 is meaningless. So of course, if he plays h6, I'm going to play queen d1. Where does he move his queen? He can go to b7. I expect he doesn't really want to go to b7. What else can he do to avoid a queen trade? Maybe queen e4. Yeah, I don't believe that. Anything he does, I'm either going to win h5 and then play rook d1 check and win. So I think this is just busted. So yeah, this was my round 3 game. I have to say, after the game, I was happy for a minute, and then I was extremely upset that I didn't manage to win that. But yeah, my Queen's Indian calculation was correct, so I was happy that knight e4 was correct and bishop d5 was correct. So yeah, if he hadn't, the thing is, if he hadn't sacrificed the exchange, where are we? Wait. Yeah, if he hadn't sacrificed the exchange here, what does he do? Let's say he tries to double, and I probably would have played knight f6 or rook d8. Let's say rook d8. He doubles here, and now bishop f6. I mean, he has to trade. There's nothing better. Knight f6. Now, how does he stop all the rooks from being traded off? Let's say he plays, I don't know. I don't know what he does. A stupid move. Let's say bishop h3, and I take, and he takes. There's just no way to avoid the trades, even if he tries to do this. I mean, this position was so equal that I'm sure we would have gotten a knight versus bishop endgame in which I should be better, because the knight, even though there are pawns on both sides of the board, this position is closed. There are no targets for him on the queen side, and I think my knight would be a menace here, but probably just equal. So yeah, I think he should have seen g6. This is just a simple oversight. I'm sorry that he blundered like that, but yeah, I didn't punish it. So anyway, this was round 3. I'm going to cover the rest of the games in the following days. And yeah, stay tuned for more chess. Bye from isolation. Yeah, bye.